Welcome to the Puffin Show.
Welcome to the show. Have a seat.
Jane, advancing the cause of women, not certain groups of women. Can you talk a little bit about what you saw in the March on Washington?
We have been advancing the cause of white women ever since the women's movement. The women's movement was a movement for white women. They might as well have been wearing placards that said, black women need not apply. And that was only allowed to happen is because we wanted to stop the civil rights movement. And white men went along with that in order to put a stop to the civil rights movement. As long as we're talking about the rights of white women, then we don't have to talk about the rights of people of other colors. As far as I'm concerned, that's what the women's movement was about. Now there's going to be another women's movement. You need to realize this. If you haven't read Ben Wattenberg's book, The Birth Dearth, you need to realize that in this country right now, we've got a whole lot of white folks who are scared to death because they know that within 30 years, white people will have lost their numerical majority in the United States of America. And if you haven't read that book, it says the biggest problem confronting this country today is there are too few white babies being born in this country. If we don't solve this problem and solve it quickly, white people will lose their numerical majority, and this will no longer be a white man's land. Now, I know a whole lot of Native American people, of First Nations people, who don't think this is a white man's land. They think it's a... He says there are three things we can do to solve this problem. Number one, we can pay women to have babies as they have been doing in Western European nations for years. Then he says, unfortunately, and these are his words, not mine, unfortunately, we would have to pay women of all colors to have babies, so we don't want to do that. Now, this man was a member of the American Enterprise Institute, an ultra-conservative right-wing think tank, and gave advice to presidents of the United States. He says the second thing we could do is increase the number of legal immigrants allowed into this country every year. He says, unfortunately, the majority of people who want to come to this country today are people of color, so we don't want to do that. He says the third thing we could do, and this is really scary, is realize that 60% of the fetuses that are aborted every year in this country are white. If we could keep that 60% alive, that would solve our birth dearth. Now, how many of you think that sounds like blatant, overt racism? People, you need to know that the attempt to get rid of my right or any other woman's right to have an abortion is not about religion, it is not about morality, it is about keeping white people in the numerical majority in this country, and you better realize that's what's happening. Right now, they are trying to pass legislation, and Mr. 45 and his underlings, I refuse to say his name, because if I do, I'll have to call him what I call him, which is Donosaurus T. Rump. Oh dear, is this being televised? Oh shit, okay. That's all right, I'm tired of working anyway. People, they're trying to outlaw abortion. They're trying to tell women, once again, what they can do with their bodies. If a woman has to be punished for by getting pregnant, whether or not she wants to, has to be punished by bearing that child, then the person who contributed to that unwanted pregnancy has to be held responsible for two. So I think there's a... Hey, wait, don't waste my time. There's a perfectly logical remedy for this problem. Any male who contributes to an unwanted pregnancy must submit to involuntary vasectomy so that he cannot contribute to another unwanted pregnancy. Now, people, you need to know that vasectomy takes only a few minutes in the doctor's office. It isn't very painful. My husband's vasectomy didn't hurt me at all. Now, people, you also need to realize that vasectomy is reversible. Motherhood is not reversible. Once you're a mother, you are a mother for as long as you live. That's the way it is. Even if you give that child up for adoption, you still hear that child crying in the night, and you wonder how he or she is getting along. People, vasectomy is reversible. Young males could have a vasectomy and have a lot of fun without a whole lot of responsibility, and then when they want to produce a child, when they want to contribute to a wanted pregnancy, then they could have that vasectomy reversed. How many of you think that would be a logical conclusion to this problem? Now some of you are going to say, she doesn't like men. Oh, yes, I do. I don't dislike it. Boy, I do. However,